Hi, you all just finished a U-try where you got to solve an equation that was quadratic in form. It's not a quadratic, it's another x to the fourth power, but it is in that format because 4 is twice as much as 2. So the equation I gave you was x to the fourth minus 37x squared plus 36 equals 0, and you guys got to solve it. So there's a lot of different ways you could do this. If you like that substitution way, you're welcome to do that. You could have y equals x squared. And then that would be, instead of x to the fourth, that would be y squared, because that's x squared squared. The x squared then would become a y, and we'll still have a 36 here. And so you could substitute y's in if you just like seeing it in that format. It does factor really nicely, y minus 36 and y minus 1, if you want to do it that way. And then you get y equals 36 or y equals 1. And then we can back substitute. Y is the same thing as x squared, so now I'm going to have x squared equals 36 and x squared equals 1. Then we'll take that positive or negative square root of both of those answer sets. So if I take the plus or minus square root of 36, I'd have x equals positive 6 or negative 6. Just taking the square root. Remember, if it's the plus or minus, the square root. And same thing with the other side. We'll take the square root of both sides. Just don't forget to do the positive and negative versions. So that would be 1 or negative 1. So those are your 4 answer choices on this one. If you don't like that substitution step, you don't have to do it. You actually could basically factor from the very beginning if you want to, and I'll show you that. So I'm just going to rewrite this. X to the fourth minus 37x squared plus 36 equals 0. And you can actually factor from the very beginning. It's just instead of x's, you're going to use x squared. So you'll have x squared times x squared gives you x to the fourth. And we'll still have negative 36 times negative 1 to give us negative 36. And it'll add, those middle terms will add to give us that negative 37x squared. And then what we'd have is you could actually keep factoring from here, which is kind of cool if you enjoy factoring. Because you have a difference of 2 squareds. X squared minus 36 factors as x minus 6 and x plus 6. And x squared minus 1, you could do the same thing. It's a difference of 2 squares that factors as x minus 1 times x plus 1. And then you could set all 4 of your little equations equal to 0. You'd have x minus 6 equals 0, x plus 6 equals 0, x minus 1 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0, and solve all 4 of those, and you're going to get the same answers as we got above. You'd add 6 to both sides and get x is 6. Subtract 6 from both sides and get x is negative 6. Add 1 to both sides and get x is 1, and subtract 1 from both sides and get x is negative 1. And so you'll notice we got the same answers doing it a slightly different way. If you really, really hate factoring, one more way to do this one, goodness. If you really hate factoring and you really want to use the quadratic formula, you are absolutely welcome to do so. It's just that instead of x to the fourth, you'll have x squareds. So you'll have x squared equals that opposite of b, the 37, plus or minus the square root. And then you'd have to do b squared. So we'd need to do 37 squared. Let me pull up a calculator real quick because I do not feel like doing that by hand. And 37 times 37 is 1,369. We'll do a minus 4 times a, which is 1, times c, which is a positive 36. All over 2a, so 2 times 1 is 2. Alright, let's see. If I do 4 times 1 is 4 times 36. You get 144, so we're going to get 1369 minus 144 inside of our square root. And if you subtract those, we do 1369 minus 144. Let's see, we get the square root of 1,225. And that is a perfect square. The square root of 1,225 is 35. So we'll have x squared equals 37 plus or minus 35 all over 2. Whew. This is definitely a longer way to get there, but we're going to do it. All right. So let's see. From here, 37 plus 35 would be 72 over 2, which would be 36. The other option, if you did 37 minus 35 would be 2, and 2 over 2 is 1. So now I've got x squared equals 36, x squared equals 1, just like we did before. And we'll take that plus or minus square root of both sides. So x would be positive or negative 6, and from over here, positive or negative 1. So you'll notice lots of different ways to get that answer. And whichever one resonates better with you is great with me.